Hey guys, hope you're all doing well and welcome back to another week of Last Week in AUCS. As usual, we're going to get started with the MDL. So I am going to change up the structure around this video a little bit, and as usual, starting off with the MDL, we do see the panel of 6 here. Firstly, Incept and Forbidden on Dust 2. Bit of a different verdict than I thought this one would have been on the final scoreline of this one. Forbidden do end up taking this one, and moving on to the next one, Rooster beating Paradox. The expected result, bit closer than what I would have expected there as well, but pretty much everything else for this section of 6 was how I thought the outcome would be. And remember, I did just touch upon how I'm changing how the video structure works. I'm not going to talk over exactly all of the score lines like I have done in the previous installments, but more rather the anticipated results and whether or not I feel anything would have been a little bit different. So, with this set of 6, potentially would have liked to see Overt and Control be a little bit closer. Thought it would have been a bit closer. But the other 3, the Skyfire Avant, the Truckers with Altitude Justice, and the Mako Order, pretty much along the lines of how we thought, those games would finish out. So, on to the next section of 6. And in this next section of 6, we do see Avant beat PC 419. A little bit closer than I thought it would have been, to be honest with you, just by the recent changes in the 419 roster. Everything else, along the lines of potentially what we would have seen, but not really, right? You see your Incept versus Avant. You would have thought maybe that goes over to Avant, especially on Dust 2, but no, Incept actually win that one out. And, moving on forward from that, you got your Ground Zero taking Skyfire a bit close for my liking. Thought, along your lines of your 16 to 13 or 16 to 12, maybe even your 16-11, probably a lot of predictions on the 16-11 when we covered the game that week, but, a good win for Ground Zero nonetheless. Bans taking over Forbidden, pretty expected there, but the one thing that got me, Incept taking over Avant 16-14 on this night, they went straight over to play Incept versus Rooster. It was on the same night, we covered the games, but 16-5 in favor of Rooster, not the outcome that I would have thought to happen in that night. Rooster, they've been on fire lately, especially just coming off the ANZ Champs games as well, which we will get onto after this installment here in the MDL. But yeah, 16-5 on Mirage, not the scoreline that I thought would have happened there. I thought Incept would have made it a lot closer, or maybe, even tackling in for a win on that map, especially after just beating Avant. But, over into the next sort of section of the MDL, and that'll close over the MDL segment. So with the last segment here for the MDL, we do see Ground Zero beat Overt. Expected scoreline in that one, to be completely honest with you. But now, this next one, the Chiefs games, they were just played tonight when I'm doing this video, of course, Sundays. You guys know I pretty much do these on Sundays now and release it on Monday. Bans taking Chiefs, to overtime is actually really good for them. There was times in that game where I thought, all right, Bans may be able to win it. They were out of the water really well, up in the first half for quite a little bit of time, and then it got really close. There was 8-7 at the halftime scoreline there as well. But then when it gets to overtime, Chiefs do stabilize and they are able to take the victory. And then also, they quite cleanly take the victory over PC 419 on Mirage. It was a doubleheader for tonight as well. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the MDL. Though I do have one little thing I want to show you guys from the Avant versus PC 419 game on Dust 2. Stay tuned for this because it might give you a little bit of a laugh. The last one in this Half-Life PC 419. Great shot onto APA, but he will be staring down the barrel of these 2 AWPs. If he managed, to get that bomb planted, it would be quite nice, but the bomb's not in an easy position for him to recover. There's good damage, though, from PC. Oh, he's going to fall to his death. So with the games done for this week, we move over into the ladder. And as of last week, we saw Order on top, then the Chiefs, then Avant, and then Truckers with Attitude. That makes up the top 4. Usually as the weeks progress on, we may see Ground Zero and Rooster move up. That'd probably be a lot of people's predictions to be, the top sort of 6 going into the finalization of the season. Your Order, Chiefs, Avant, Truckers, GZ, and Rooster. So moving over into this week's final ladder positions, we do see Order still staying on top. Then the Chiefs, that hasn't changed. Neither has Avant in 3rd. So they stay where they are. But what is shuffled a little bit is Ground Zero now in 4th, Rooster now in 5th. That bumps the Truckers and Vance down to 6th and 7th. Overt still staying in the top 8. So that's kind of MDL for this week. And as I did touch to before, we move over into ANZ Champs. So back to ANZ Champs, there was a week of nothing because they had to wait for, something apparently. But the season did start this week, and with the upper brackets, we do see Renegades taking on Generation of Miracles, or Vorpal Swords as they're called now as well. I gotta give it to the Vorpal Swords guys. You know, it was a little bit of a ragtag bunch of players coming in from, you know, names that we've seen in the past, right? But they managed to do 10 rounds on each map against Renegades, and even though Renegades, they do take it, they were the favor to take it anyway. I do have to give them a little bit of an applause there. Didn't think they'd be able to get that many rounds, even though individually all these players are quite sharp. And then over into the Ground Zero versus Truckers match. Now, GZ did have the upper seed advantage here, but they did end up losing it to the Truckers. We know how powerful they are as a team as well, so they take it 2-0, 16-7 and 16-12 on Overpass. My favorite map, great to see it, but then over to Dust 2 as well. So they will knock the Ground Zero squad down to the lower bracket, who will be taking on the Generation Miracles Vorpal Swords in the next installment. Now for a little bit of an interesting turnout in this one. Avant do get bested by Paradox. They were on fire. 16-14 was the very close scoreline on Mirage. Then it was 16-11 on Train. Inferno, Paradox were just on another planet in this game. Versa was absolutely popping off all night. Have to give him so much credit. But yeah, Paradox beating Avant here, as I did, you know, kind of allude to. This was played before the MDL game versus Incept for Avant, so you know, a little bit shaky for Avant this week in AUCS, but it is cool to see that, you know, Paradox are starting to perform like they were a while ago. We used to see good, consistent results. They're starting to bring it back, which is a really cool prospect. So joining Avant in the lower bracket is going to be Rooster after they do get bested by Order. It did take all 3 maps as well. You know, 16-11 and then a bounce back for 16-11 in the second map, but taking on Order on Vertigo is, I would say, not really a smart idea, just gathered by how strong they are on Vertigo. So 16-7, the final result there. Order securing themselves the game against Paradox in the next segment of that upper bracket area. And of course, as I said, Rooster are going to be taking on Avant in that lower bracket area. Do have to say though, I did catch this game and it was kind of a funny one and an interesting one as well. My internet was down when they did play, so I really did get to kind of peek into this game. So I got a couple of funny things and a CSGO thing that did happen. So first up, we'll show Danny G and what he did to Order from Rooster's side, of course, and then what ADK was luckily enough to do as well. So here's those things.
Now Danny G, man's hungry. He's not going to be calling menu log, he's going to be calling Ricky. Who
trying to go for the knife.
I
love this.
Oh, Ricky. Oh.
Oh, Danny.
He's playing with his food. He's not going to check that. Too weird of a spot. Danny G gets away with murder, and ADK is using trigger discipline to his advantage. 1, 2, 3. Oh, surely that's the 4K. Beautiful.
Oh!
What? I'm done. I'm done.
Oh my goodness, 80k! He's just falling and just slaying people, and that's match point.
And that's why Order are scared to go ramp again. MC, what are your thoughts? Do you like that one? Yeah, good. Okay, good job, 80k.
So as always, we do touch upon the news segment now. Ground Zero have finally announced that Huds is their coach, so that's all out and about now. Congratulations to him. We've seen him coach other teams before in the past, but I think, you know, Ground Zero would be the highest caliber team that he would have casted as well. So great to see, you know, him being brought on to them, and we'll be able to see what impact he does have in the coming times with this roster as well. Because remember, Ground Zero have seen a bit of shakiness in the roster recently, but also a lot of changes, and hopefully it is all for the better. So back on the news for the Justice roster, Clutchy and Fiend have both departed the roster for good and for bad. We'll have to see what happens with this roster in the next coming weeks as well, or whether or not they do end up joining a couple of the dead teams in the MDL season. I hope not. I hope that they're able to pick up the pieces in this roster and keep on going. It really does suck to see rosters fall apart, but yeah, you got to give these guys, you know, I guess a little bit of time to see what's going to happen there. And with Zeph getting announced into the Chiefs roster previously, we do see an open gap in that Incept roster. Nibki is the player to fill that void in the roster. So we'll see how he's going to progress with this Incept roster. And, you know, the showings that they had this week, they're not bad. They were able to win against Avant, of course. So we'll see what promise this side does have with Nibki on their squad. Now for the last little piece in this segment. Braces left the Truckers with attitude. So he's gone over to Bant with his mates, I guess you would say. We've seen them all play together before. He will be joining Ruffleco, Motion Addict, and Falcon, with Klebs taking a step into the coach and analyst role. So we did just see them play against the Chiefs, where they took it into overtime. So if that isn't, you know, sort of a off to a good start thing, they did unfortunately lose, but hey, a little bit of the float in the water period for them as well. Very promising to see what's going to happen with them. They're a great bunch of guys, and I want to see them perform and get good results. But that is going to wrap up this episode as well, guys. As always, thanks for watching. If you got to this part, make sure you follow on the Twitter and have all those good things happen. Subscribe if you want to get alerted to when these videos do come out. It's pretty much every Monday at 6 o'clock anyways. But I'm going to start to put out more content on YouTube if it possibly can. But anyways, if you guys do catch anything cool and CS happening during the weeks, make sure to shoot it over my way so I can put it in the videos. Anyways, guys, take care. See ya.